All right, guys, I should turn a light on. Here with Migs to talk about his team. I should have turned a light on. Here with Kmigs to talk about his team and how they've done in the offseason, how he's been in the offseason, and kind of get his report card. This is fun. So 6 episodes have come out at the time of recording this. We're recording this on, what is it today? Tuesday night? Recording
Yeah.
this Tuesday night. And you had a busy weekend, so you haven't seen them. So you have no idea how this works, which makes this really fun. Let's talk about kind of how your off season's been. We were just talking about kind of completely disconnected for like the last week or so ish.
Yeah.
How was your trip out of town?
Trip was good. So for those that don't know, I took my kids, wife, we went to Pocono Mountains, which is like a 5.5 hour drive from here. Big like family reunion. So a bunch of cousins on my like wife's side were there. Stayed at like a resort with an indoor outdoor water park and just did a bunch of just kept the kids busy
Yeah,
basically for like 3 days. It was awesome. Nice drive too, because like typically I'll drive to Chicago, west from Cleveland. It's the most boring drive on the 80 on like the turnpike, and like
yeah.
going into Pennsylvania, like through the
It
mountains,
was
it's
kind of
really, really
nothing. Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. It was awesome.
I always forget that Pennsylvania is like you've got Pittsburgh on this side and Philly on this side, and then just in the middle there's nothing. And it's
Yeah.
like it's really pretty, like some of the mountains and the drives and all that type of stuff. I worked at a fun fact. I worked at a summer camp in Pennsylvania. It was like an overnight sleepaway summer camp. It was called Camp Aquatic, and it was like in the middle of the mountains. And it was like 30 minutes to get anywhere, and the drive like to it or like into town or whatever was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
awesome. We literally were
Yeah.
driving to go to like Walmart one day, and a bear just fucking crawled down off a cliff, walked across the road, and kept going. And we're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's what it was
So
like
it's
when we went to
pretty,
the Smoky Mountains, dude. Like when we went to the Smoky Mountains several years ago, like just seeing fucking bears like
yeah.
in front of the neighbors' houses and whatnot. It was awesome. But yeah, that was way cool. Trying to think what else, dude. The family trip, my summers also. I've had 2 jobs this summer. I started a new job a few months ago at this tech company. I got out of HR
Yeah. God
because I
bless.
really wanted to. I really wanted to leverage. I wanted it to be okay to be a macro aggressor or micro aggressor, and
Or
so,
both, both,
yeah,
both.
macro, just an aggressor.
Yeah.
And no, I was just burnt out of the HR stuff. I took this job in customer success, and literally like the first or second day I was working there, this like HR tech company reached out, also in customer success. So basically, work with customers. You'll be assigned like a book of like 12 or 13 companies. Make sure they're happy. Train them. Blah 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 blah. Upsell
Right.
that whatever. But yeah, they interviewed. I started interviewing with them like my first or second day at this new job, and it's just a way better situation, dude, because they're like paying me for my 10 years of HR experience, but I'm not in HR anymore, but
That's
I'm
great.
working with like an HR platform. Like,
Yeah.
think, where do you want to do your recruiting, your training, your performance, or all that kind of stuff that I've done for 10 years, but like now I'm not doing HR anymore, which is nice. So,
Yeah.
um, I started that last week actually, which is way cool.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad it's
And
going
yeah,
well. I mean, not that we want to turn this into a shit on HR Fest, because I think that you and I might, we've done that in DMs, I think, a bit sometimes. But like,
yeah,
I wonder like where it went wrong, because like the idea of having a human resources to make sure that this and that is going well, like makes so much sense. But I feel like it's turned into like just ridiculousness sometimes. Where it's like, oh, well, you can't do that. It's like, what do you mean I can't tell? Like, again, you need something like that in place to
dude,
make sure people are
it's
protected, but
it's what
it's
what
crazy sometimes.
what got me into HR in the first place is I always thought I wanted to be like a consultant. Like I thought I wanted to work for like McKinsey or Deloitte and travel the world, blah 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 blah. But like what happened was once I got my degree, I was living abroad and I couldn't do that kind of work unless I was speaking Hebrew fluently because I was living in Israel. And then by the time we moved back to the States, my wife's like, "Oh, you want to travel like 4 or 5 days a week? Like, we're not doing that." So then I
Yeah,
just was like, "Okay, what else can I do?" So then I got like internal training roles, like designing training content or compliance training or training managers on how to
yeah,
be better man, whatever. Like, and then at the end of the day, like I like that kind of work. Like I like what's called learning and development, and I like
yeah.
designing
I
training programs that
Yep.
like the problem is like it's always like an uphill battle to like create like a shared language around what is training and development, you know?
Yeah.
It's also one of the first things off the chopping block, and it's just like I just got really burnt out. I think I said in the chat, man, my LinkedIn is like it was. I mean, it still is, but now it's growing into like outside of HR, but it's like just full of HR professionals. And I just can't tell you from conversations and posts, the people that I know that I feel like act like their work is the most important work in the world are like HR folks.
Yeah.
And like, granted, yeah, I like the work, but like, come on, like, it's not the most important work at the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's the end of the day, they're trying to like avoid lawsuits and whatnot. I get that, but like, they're not your revenue producers, you know.
Yeah. They're not your revenue. They're
So
not your front line. They're not the ones doing the things. Yeah.
no, no. So, anyways, this new gig is awesome because like I get to be like that kind of like intersection of technology and HR people strategy. You know, it's like you bought our platform, you're using it. Like, what are you trying
How
to
do I
accomplish
help?
this year? Oh, you're
Yeah.
trying to like turn your performance reviews into like, you know, tangible business results or like quarterly reviews, or you know, you want to leverage skills is like a big thing in the HR world now, right? Like
Yep.
skills is like are just makes companies more agile, easier to like fill like roles and make sure that you know if you have a skill at the end of the day, you either can do something or you cannot. It's not so like vague, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like other companies, if you're familiar, maybe are like competencies. If you're familiar with that like terminology, it's
A
like part
bit.
of your performance review. Like you can
Yeah. Yeah. What are you
you know
able to do?
navigate
What boxes
tough
can you check? And
relationships, but they can be like very vague where it's like a skill is like you can either consult or you can't, like you can either like build relationships or you can't, you know.
yeah.
So anyways, all that kind of stuff is gonna like people are gonna be like put to sleep already in this interview, but like I get to leverage that experience, that background, right? But I get to do it like working with people that have purchased a platform, and like that's how I drive value. It's like you either are continuing to use a platform and like grow your company's usage with it or not, you know.
Yeah.
um,
I
it's
feel
just
like
chill. I don't know. It's nice. I'm not around other HR people anymore, which
yeah.
is nice too. Like
I
that's
feel
not
like
my
those
team.
of us that have to work intimately with HR like very much understand exactly what you're saying and are probably very happy for you, myself included. Those of us
Yeah.
that are just that aren't from whatever career that is have no idea what we're talking about. I've totally zoomed out, but that's okay because I feel like I'm like that learning and development piece and designing training programs. You and I could talk for probably hours about it. It's my passion too, but we won't do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk, I guess, about fantasy football or whatever.
All right. Let's do
So
it.
let's look at your report card for the season, or I guess the preseason, and kind of how the league thinks that things are looking for you. So the first thing on here is your projected finish in the division. Then we'll look at how many people think you're a lock for the toilet bowl, how many people think you're a lock for the playoffs, and then how many people have you going to the championship. Division. 9 teams think you're going to end the division in first place, 3 in second place, and then nobody else for third or fourth place. And as you probably remember, I know the aggressors division
Hmm.
is now me, you, Code, and Vic. And so
Yeah.
there's very much kind of a split. When we looked at Codes yesterday or the other day, I think his is the exact opposite of yours, where it was like, I think he had one team in third place, like 2 or 3 in first, and like 7 or 8 in second place. So almost the inverse of his. Do you kind of agree that you should be very widely favored to be the winner of the division, or do you think Ticket to Ride stands, or the other 2 teams? Which, if you think the other 2 teams, you're a liar. But do you think that Ticket to Ride stands more of a chance, and this is giving them credit for, or is this right for you?
Let me see. I mean, Codes always has like a decent team, but like, I would love to know who those 3 people were that put second place, and were they serious or were they just trolling? Because like, I just think like top to bottom, like every starting spot I have, I don't know. He has Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts.
That's a huge. I think that's his biggest advantage is having those two. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you could easily make the argument that you win the other positions.
Yeah.
But
And even there, I
quarterback,
still
super
have
flex,
like
6 point passing
Mahomes.
touchdown.
Yeah.
You traded Mahomes to me. I thought you said for a fourth. Had to offload the
Yeah.
cap. All right.
Yeah. That's after the call.
Yeah.
No, I think I agree with like the majority, which is like I should, um, you know, based on right now, probably in the
Yeah.
best position to get first.
Well, I do know that Code was one of them because he said that he voted for himself to come in first and you for second. Not sure about the
Nice.
other ones as
Okay,
well.
so there you,
So
so there we
there's
go.
there's 2 people out there that don't believe in you. As for the toilet bowl, nobody picked you as a lock for the toilet bowl, which is fairly obvious, I think, but it's still worth
Yeah.
saying. For locked into playoffs, now as a reminder for you, it's a lock. Like they think you are a 100% in the playoffs. There is no other option. How many teams, if you had to guess, picked you to be a lock?
I know it's not going to be everybody because there's fucking people that just want to troll, dude. I don't know. Uh, let's say let's say 9 people chose me to be locked into the playoffs. 9 or 10.
9 or 10. It is 11. So nobody got unanimous. You were the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
team to get 11. Or I think Chase got 11 as well. But I remember you are first place or tied for first place, and I'm frantically pulling up my thing over here to make sure I'm not lying to you. But if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
it is tied for first place at a minimum. Um, and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. Yes. So you and Chase are tied. 11 teams thinking. So one team doesn't think you or Chase are, but the other 11 think you're an absolute lock for the playoffs. What about championship predictions? How many teams think that you're going to go to the championship? It's not win the championship, but one of the two teams in the championship.
I'd say 9 or 10.
7. So
7. Ooh.
less than you'd think, but the most out of any team. So more than half of the league thinks you're going back to the championship. The third season in a row.
Okay.
Chase and Cam were second closest to you at 5, and then no other team got more than 2. So even though it might not feel like it with your kind of prediction of that, 9 or 10, 7 is significantly more than everybody else. I feel like we're kind of back to a theme that we've had for 4 seasons now, which is Brownout's a favorite to win it all. It's kind of been this story since the beginning. Obviously, that success. You've got the trophy somewhere still. We got to get that to Cam, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold on to it until I win again.
Okay,
I
sounds
don't
good.
care how long it takes. I do
Um,
need to send it because the other day my kids came into my office. They're like, "Can I have this?" I'm like, "No, it's not mine."
no, this is worth hundreds and millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
But made it to the finals in the second season and won. Made it to the finals last season and lost.
Yes.
The entire league thinks you're heading back there again. Do you think that's accurate? Is that a question in your mind, or?
I mean, like, if the team stays healthy, yeah. I mean, I just like looking at it again, like, people had questions about Brees. Like, is there going to be like a running back committee there? I still think Brees is a beast. Achan is a beast. It's just about injuries, which who knows who's going to get hit with injuries this year, you know?
Yeah.
I also still think that my depth is okay. Like Hawk had a down year, but now he's got like a full off season with the Vikings and like essentially a rookie quarterback. So I've got Njoku and Hawk.
Right.
JT, I know y'all were talking about like is he worth the money or not? And like honestly, like I lost Saquon and I had money. I added JT.
Yeah.
And then Bucky. So like the running back room is pretty good. And then I had money and I got Shakir, who I think can be like a great like fill-in kind of like starter, especially with like Ayuk, who knows. I don't know. He's on like the pup now.
Right. Shakir's got a
there's
high
like
ankle sprain that just came out this week too, which is a little frustrating as someone who went Shakir.
who Ayuk.
No, Shakir.
Oh, I didn't even
But
know
you
that.
still, yeah, it just came out. But you still have the depth, though. I mean, you still have. I mean, you're talking about two guys that would be probably starters for most of the teams in the league. You still haven't touched on Amon-Ra St. Brown. You still haven't touched on Terry, who at some point is going to get a deal done. You still have Garrett Wilson, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, McMillan could get some run. Apparently, I was just reading today, like Troy Franklin is looking like really good in camp. Like that would be like a awesome find for me if he's actually like a productive,
Yeah.
whatever, like fill-in starter.
If he
I don't
turns
know.
into someone you could throw in your flex a couple times, like throughout the year, as a
Whatever,
bye week
just
happens, if
I like
injury
having the
happens.
depth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry, quick cut there. But yeah, I mean, you've got plenty of pieces here on the roster to kind of bridge the gap. And again, like I feel like even though the pieces and the players that we're talking about are high value players or they're starting caliber or whatever, like these are your flex players. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the area that I think that can't be understated. you're a little bit more thin at quarterback per se than we've seen in the past, but I know you're super big on a Bo Nix. Jared Goff is still a great value. We'll see how Mahomes does. Um, I'm still the biggest Mahomes believer I think out there, but you're locked in there. That's an advantage that you have over Ticket to Ride is they only have 2 quarterbacks on their roster right now versus your 3. And again, like your starting lineup tends to beat the mess out of people. It just all comes down to injuries, but it feels like there's more question marks on the roster before the season even begins, which is scary considering Ayuk's knee. We don't know what's going on. McLaurin's contract and Shakir with the high ankle, and of course they're all the same position group too, which doesn't make it fun.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not too worried about Terry. Ayuk obviously was like a question mark, and I knew that. I'm big on Mahomes this season. Like, still, like people are so low on him, and like, what was he like? He was still decent last year,
Yeah. People are way too low. I'm gonna go try to pull up a like where I got him in a startup. It was insane. It's a free startup with some people who haven't played fantasy football like before a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So it isn't the best gauge of it, but I think I got I got Hurts Mahomes at the turn and at start 2 quarterback. Yeah, I took Hurts at 1-9 and then I took Mahomes at 2-1. So like 111 and 109.
I had a startup this summer where like Mahomes fell like all the way to like it was a super flex obviously, but he like fell to like the end or the end of the first or like beginning of the second. I'm like, y'all are crazy.
Yeah, there's still a lot of value there. I mean, it's tricky with how much his contract costs in comparison to what it is, but not that you want to think about this, but if Mahomes ever did get hurt or something like that, he's someone you could easily offload to somebody, or you could cut and get $150 back and buy whoever you wanted to in free agent. And you've still got picks as well. It's not like you've completely sold out, and you don't have any flexibility.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I've been extra. I've got 2/3 for 26, which is whatever. And then I have an extra second for the 27, which is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Like I think my window's getting, what's the word? It's closing. Just I mean, there's only so many like moves I can make to continue to lock down studs and like still be able to afford like the depth, which I always like having. But yeah,
but it's still open.
We'll
I mean,
see.
whether or not it's closing, it is still open. So that leads us to the last question. Really, is what do you define success as for your team this season? What is a successful season for you guys? Is it to go to the finals?
To win the championship. It's to win the championship. Championship or bust. That's it.
Do you consider it a failure if you don't win the championship, or do you consider it a failure like if you don't end in the top 3, or if you're not number 1, this is a failure of a season?
Yeah, it's a failure, man. I'm going for ships, dog.
Yeah.
I mean that's like
I don't want to ship that trophy anyway.
No, it's just I like that I made it to the championship 2 years in a row, but like that making it is if I don't win the championship, I'm going to be bummed for sure.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that makes it nice and easy for you.
I feel like this was a riveting interview, dude.
It was great, man. 7 minutes of HR, 11 minutes of football.
10 minutes of HR talk. Yeah.
It was great. Let's go back to HR talk. Learning and development. No, I'm just kidding. we won't do that to everybody else. But this was fun, man. It's always good talking to you. Yeah. I'm glad you had a good time with the family, and we're happy you're back. What do you think of the Browns? Browns signed Tyler Huntley.
I don't think anything of it. But Shador is starting preseason game 1.
What are your? Do you have any hot takes for the Browns quarterback room as a fan? What do you want to happen?
What I want to happen, which is easy to say right now because this season hasn't started, I want to be the worst team in the league so we can have the first overall pick.
There you go.
That's just because I just don't think we're a very good team. But like ask me once the season starts and I start watching the games and getting into it. Like I think our defense is going to be okay. I think our offense is going to be better with anyone not Deshaun starting multiple games.
I mean, Jameis made him look functional. They didn't look like they were going to win the Super Bowl, but he made him look functional. Like he's like,
I think even if you put Winston in for every game last year, I think we could have maybe gotten to 500.
I think it's fair to guess. Yeah,
I just think you need what is our best quarterback on the roster, Flacco? I mean, it's a bad team. I mean, there's a reason why. Like, what was the win total at? Like 4.5 or something like that. I think
Something.
was the betting
Yeah.
line.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
yeah. I mean, my hot take is it's not even a hot take. Is like I want to see all the quarterbacks, the younger quarterbacks, including Pickett, if he's still on the roster. I want to see them all play, and what's the worst that can happen?
And figure out
you
who
know?
our backup for 27 is type shit. Or
The
26.
worst
Whatever.
thing that can happen is Shador or Gabriel start some games towards the end of the season. They think he's the second coming, and then they're like, okay, we don't
And they
need a
draft
quarterback.
a tackle or a lineman or some
Yeah,
shit like
yeah, which
like with
is like
104
which is
would
so
be a
on
Browns thing to
brand,
do. Yeah.
which is so on brand for the Browns. But the quarterbacks in next year's draft should be significantly better than this past year's. This is, and I feel like that's why we made that move. The move out of number 2 is get us more ammo. That's going to get us a quarterback. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. I appreciate the Browns take.
Cool.
Just because
All right,
it's easy to
bro.
make fun of them, but I don't know who to, I don't know what Browns fans want. So
It's pain, dude. It's pain.
it's tough.
All right. Tell Rick I'm a big fan.
All right. Well, he's next. So we'll talk to him soon.
I know. All right, man. I'll see you. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon.